No matter what brand of clubs you choose as your favorite, we all have something in common. We had better have the right grips properly applied to those clubs because after all, the only point of connection between our bodies and our tool takes place in these grips. So do you know how to regrip a club and when it should happen and how it's done properly? That's what we're going to showcase for you today. Quite often on our video channel, we are reviewing products or sharing with you great travel stories. I thought today we would do something a little bit different, and that is teach you something for those of you who have never re-gripped your clubs or maybe even had grips put on them by somebody else. And so we are in the workshop area at the Fortress Golf Course in Frankenmuth, Michigan. My friend Kyle Martin, who has frequently joined me to review products, is going to walk us all through the process of replacing grips. Now, these are my irons that we're working with today, and he started just by pulling off the first grip. I think he's working on my 9-iron right there. So, first of all, how did you and when did you learn how to do this?
So through the curriculum of the PGA, they actually test you on this. They hand you a 6-iron, they say, tell me what the length is, how short it is or how long it is, and then build a grip up. Tell me what the loft is, tell me what the lie is. So they may say, build it up to mid-size or build it up to jumbo. However, I did run a little business through middle school and high school regripping clubs in my hometown. There was a big void for that. There was obviously a big market since no one did it around. So I took that up as a nice little business in high school and did all right.
Reported all your earnings, I'm sure. Now,
100%.
He's working on my clubs, as I mentioned, my Callaways, and I have a need for a little bit bigger grip, so that's what we're putting on today. Walk us through the process. I'll stop talking and you can kind of give us the tutorial.
So first thing we want to do is obviously remove the grip. So these grips are in relatively good shape, but so they do cut off easily. We just use a razor hook blade.
There's some people out there watching who have grips from the mid-90s. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the kinds that you can't even hold on to.
Yeah, you try and cut them off and they crumble like Oreos.
Mine are pretty new, but they were undersized, which is why we're doing this. What's the downside of having grips that are just bald like tires on a car?
So they're slick, number one, if you're playing in any inclement weather, but most of all, grip pressure plays a huge part in your golf swing. And most tour players and better players have relatively light grip pressure. When those grips are so slick, the chances are thin that you're going to be able to have lighter grip pressure and a more controlled golf swing. You really have to increase your grip pressure. That tension grows through your forearms and your triceps, biceps, and golf swing is definitely affected by grips.
Okay, so you've stripped off the original grip. What's next?
So now we're going to look at, we need to take this tape off. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. The way I prefer to go is either take a razor and cut a thin line through down to the shaft, and then you can literally peel it off. Some people prefer to take a torch. You could take a little torch and put just a light layer of heat, a light application of heat to that tape, and that tape will literally lift off.
Why is removing the tape necessary? Why can't we just leave it there and go over it?
Some people are really picky with grips. When we're talking about different grip diameters and how big the grip feels, you're going from a grip that is standard width, usually 580 or 600 on the inside. On the outside, it's just thin, right? You have bigger hands, your tendency is you're more comfortable with a bigger grip. So we want to go, this is a Golf Pride MCC +4. The +4 just means it's a little bit less of a taper going from your top hand to your bottom hand. And that's going to help you obviously feel more comfortable. I know you've had them on previous sets.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Okay, strip that tape away.
Okay.
Why are we wearing goggles, by the way? You could keep working as you talk, that's all right.
Yeah, so safety first. You always want to make sure that we are taking safety as a top priority. So when you're using this type of equipment and you're using chemicals, you really, really want to pay attention to how you're using the razor, how you're using the knife. When we're using mineral spirits, the mineral spirits are can be absorbed into your skin, and that gets troublesome.
I like the word troublesome in this application. It could just be downright painful and dangerous. Kyle's got the surgeon's gloves on. I thought that tape might come off in one big pull, but obviously it's not going to cooperate quite.
Yeah, it's taking a little longer, so we may use a torch. I'm going to take this right out.
Torch makes great video.
You didn't have any hairspray in today, did you?
I've got a lot of hair care products up here, man. Don't let this fool you. This took me hours to prepare this look.
So just a light application of heat will help pull that right off.
Who knew when you were coming up through the ranks as a golf professional that you would get to play with fire?
Yeah,
That
right.
is just a bonus on top of everything else.
This is the part where you got to be really careful because you don't want to chip
Your damaged club.
any of the shaft.
Yeah, my graphite shafts will probably be a little tender in that regard, right?
Yeah. So you got to be pretty careful. This is what takes a little bit of practice.
Okay, the tape is off. What's next?
So next we're getting ready to apply the new grip. So we want to take obviously that casing off of that grip and want to make sure we have the proper amount of tape. We're just doing one base layer of tape. Easy way to think about it, every layer of tape that you use is 1/64 of an inch.
Okay.
So there's no math quiz at the end of this, but
So does the tape have to be tapered as well since the grip is somewhat tapered?
no, you're just doing one base layer since the grip is already built the way you want it.
Okay.
So with the +4, if it wasn't, yeah, for sure, you're gonna put certain layers of tape on certain parts of the grip first, which is where I would definitely see a club repair specialist, PGA professional. We've all been kind of schooled on it and tested on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody has different preferences. Bubba Watson has 13 layers of tape
Does
on
he
his just on his top hand, which would be his right hand since he's a lefty, and his bottom hand doesn't nearly have that many layers of tape. So
That's how you move that ball so much.
he's got
right?
tennis racket on top, bottom hand not
Yeah.
so much.
All right.
So everybody has certain
Okay,
preferences.
measure us up here.
Okay. You always want to have at the end of the grip about a 1/2 inch sticking out. That way you can pinch it and reduce any amount of sand or anything that's at the bottom of your golf bag. A lot of times people will get rattles in the shaft.
Yep.
What that stems from is this hole that's at the bottom.
Yeah.
When whoever put the grips on didn't pinch that tape and close off the
So
shaft.
the hole's open.
So the hole's open.
Any debris goes all the way down.
Pebbles,
Oh,
bunkers, I mean, you name it. It's easy to get that stuff into that shaft.
one would wonder why grips have historically always had holes in the butt end of them.
Well, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
It's actually a key component in how you apply the grip. Super magic tool.
Boy, you
A
can't
marker.
get a marker just anywhere.
Yeah.
Is this a special grip application marker from
Yeah.
Sharpie?
Yeah, because it hasn't left our club repair in
That makes it special.
about 10 years. But all you're doing right now is just trying to make sure that you don't have any creases
Any
in the
bubbles or
tape.
creases.
You get creases and bubbles, you get a mess, that grip's not going to feel right.
Yeah.
And for this, I am going to take my glove off because I've got to be able to get that tape started. You take that top layer off. So this is double-sided tape.
Okay.
You want to make sure that when you're applying your chemical, your mineral spirits, number one, put your glove back on. But you want to be liberal with the amount of chemicals that you're applying, because what you don't want is putting the grip on. There's not enough on there. You get halfway
Do it
on
again.
and it gets stuck. Yeah. Then
The grip's ruined.
the grip's ruined. There's no going back from there.
Yeah. So we've played with fire already. Next we get to play with chemicals. You never knew golf was this complicated. You have to kind of be some level of rocket science here.
Right. So here's where that pinch comes in.
Okay.
That 1/2 inch
Yep.
that we left, you take that and you pinch it twice, give it a little twist, and that stops any pebbles from getting in to your grips, any rattle in the shaft.
How many clubs would you estimate you've regripped in your lifetime? In the tens of thousands?
It's definitely over probably 3,000 to 4,000.
Wow.
I mean, it's just super important when you're talking to your clients or your members. You want to make sure that they understand the importance of having fresh grips, whether it's annually, semi-annually. I'm going to put a quick bucket down so we can catch any of the excess. Make sure you give it a good shake. You want the entire inside of the grip to be covered.
And as you're applying it, one of my key questions is, how do you make sure that it's perfectly lined up down the shaft?
Yeah, so you always put the club in square on the vise. That way you can line up.
Because there are so many visuals built into grips these days that you could really throw yourself off with simply the alignment of the application of the grip.
Yeah, so we're good.
And since I can't see through these safety goggles, I have no idea what he's doing.
Take it out, give it a good tap to make sure that there's nothing left. It's all the way to the base of the grip, and lay it out. Let it dry. It'll dry in probably about 3 hours.
Okay.
There are chemicals you can use that are a bit faster, but you know, we've been doing it this way for a long time. We feel it gives you the most consistency. You don't have any grip slippage or anything like that. So big difference between those MCC plus 4s and that Z grip. Should be a lot more comfortable for you.
Well, it's a very cool process. Do you recommend, there are some tinkerers out there, some golfers who love to get in the shop and do exactly what you did. Do you recommend that somebody, maybe the first few times, do it with some adult supervision, or are you okay to just give it a run and see what happens? It seems like there's a lot of elements one could screw up here.
Yeah, always consult with somebody that's educated on it.
Yeah.
I think the value of, you know, we do a ton of grips here at the Fortress. Having some PGA professionals on staff, certainly we're able to answer a lot of those questions.
If somebody wanted to bring their clubs to you for regripping, what's it cost? I have no idea.
So it all depends on the grip. Grip prices over the last couple of years have gone up. You're probably looking at about between $10 to $15 per club to get it done, and we can usually get it done within 48 hours, which is a quick turnaround. If you're sending your clubs out, you're talking about weeks. So 48 hours, depending on if we have the grips in, is typical turnaround time.
Well, Butch Harmon told me years ago that the only point of contact between your body and your club is right there. So you better pay attention to it. And if your grips are, how old do we need to update our grips?
You know, it depends on how often you play.
Yeah.
But I would say on an annual basis or every 2 years, it's definitely something to look at because it plays such a huge part in your overall score. So condition of your grip is super important.
Well, thanks for showing us how it goes. And now we're going to wrap up the video so he can do the other 6 clubs here. You know, we didn't just come here for the video. Let's get to work, man. And I can't see a thing, so I don't know if you're over here or if you're over here. Thanks much. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.